My daughter failed the college entrance exam, and I took out all my savings to prepare for sending her abroad for further studies, but my daughter used that money as a Father's Day gift, giving it to her husband to start a business. Her husband invested in the restaurant of his first love, and it went bankrupt on the very first day, when I went to confront him. He felt so humiliated that he threatened to jump into the river and kill himself. Not only did my daughter not help me, but she also blamed me, saying, "It's Father's Day today, how could you push Dad to the brink of death? How could I have such a vicious mother like you?" In the midst of the argument, I fell down the stairs, and during the pain, I called out to my daughter, "Xing, save your mother," but my daughter just coldly stared at me and said, "I hate you, Auntie Chin Su is a million times better than you." When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the day I gave my daughter the bank card. My daughter was still as resentful as she had been in my previous life. There must be some shady dealings in the college entrance exam. How could I possibly have scored so low? Schools in our country are really boring. Mom, I want to study abroad for university. After repeating the year 3 times, my daughter's results have only gotten worse each year, yet I still wanted to do my best to fulfill her wishes. So I took out the 60,000 yuan I had saved through years of frugality, planning to send her abroad for further studies, but in the end, all she had for me was resentment, even watching me die without a care. So this time, I just smiled blandly. "Is that so? If reading isn't interesting, then go work. Going abroad is not something our family can even consider." Hearing this, my daughter's expression fell. "Mom, don't you have some money?" I sighed. "It's gone. The financial investments lost money." My daughter grew anxious, grabbing my hand and asking, "When did this happen? How could you make such a decision without discussing it with us?" Her eyes darted, and she said, "You're not afraid that I'll give the money to Dad, are you? That's why you won't give it to me." I kept my head down and didn't say a word. Her daughter was a bit upset. "Mom, you're always like this. Dad's so pitiful. How can a grown man have less money in his pocket than he has on his face?" But her husband had already stopped working long ago. "It's me who's been covering the household expenses." As my daughter spoke, her anger grew. "At most, my dad just treats his fishing buddies to a meal, and you're going to drive me to the brink." She suddenly stopped, awkwardly changing the subject. My heart was in turmoil, and I didn't even dare to look at her. It turns out my daughter has been reborn too. Scenes from my previous life flash before my eyes. My daughter lowers her head, choking back tears. "Dad said Auntie Chin Su's restaurant will definitely make money. He just wanted to have some dignity in front of you. Mom, please don't blame me, okay? Though I am angry at my daughter's willful naivety, but thinking about it, it's also my fault for directly giving her such a large sum of money just to comfort my daughter. As long as our family is well, the money can be earned again." To save money, I go to the market after work to pick up discarded leaves to stir-fry. After cooking, I go out to drive for ride-sharing services to supplement the household income. Our daughter is still young and doesn't understand, but how could my husband not even handle the contract? He just handed over such a large sum of money to someone else for investment. I grabbed my husband and dragged him out the door, determined to get the money back. My husband yanked his hand away. "Are you crazy? How can you get back money from an investment like this?" I was thrown against the cabinet by him, but I couldn't care less about the pain. I clung tightly to his hand, insisting, "If you won't say it, I will. I'll just tell them our family is so poor we can't even scrape together a meal, and without this money, we can't survive." My husband, cornered and with no other choice, finally relented. Fine, I'll go ask for it." He shot me a disdainful look, muttering, "How on earth did I end up marrying such a shrew?" But he never returned. "I'll have to find it myself." As soon as I entered, Chin Su was diligently bending over to wipe the sweat from her husband's brow. "Wayman, you're such a good man," she said, "just like you were back then. I thought after losing that 60,000, you wouldn't want anything to do with me anymore. That was the only savings our whole family had." Everyone at the table chimed in, praising Brother Chen for his generosity, always spending money to treat us brothers to a meal. With all the family's money lost, he still had the nerve to treat others to a meal. A surge of anger rushed through me, and I dashed over, grabbing a cup from the table and smashing it onto the ground. "Chen Wayman, didn't you say you were here to return the money? You're lying to me again. These years, you haven't spent a single cent on the family, so you've been playing the big shot outside." Ha! In an instant, all kinds of contemptuous and mocking gazes fell upon him. Chin Su stood up, her expression somewhat cold. "The investment money isn't something you can just take back. Profits and losses are your own responsibility. If you don't have the money, you shouldn't have tried to act rich in the first place." Chin Su disdainfully glanced at us, and I said, "What kind of show are you two putting on here?" Chin Su is my husband's goddess back in school. My husband's face turned bright red, and his fingers trembled as he pointed at me, stammering, You. The next moment, he suddenly ran to the riverside, as if about to jump in and commit suicide. "Help! Someone's going to die." The daughter who rushed over pushed me to the ground with a forceful shove, crying out at me, "Today is Father's Day. How could you be so cruel as to drive Dad to his death? How could I have such a wicked mother?" I struggled to stand up, grabbing my daughter's hand. "No, it's not what you think." With a violent motion, my daughter flung me away. I lost my balance and tumbled down the stairs of the farmhouse. I don't know where I'm injured, but my whole body aches as if it's about to fall apart. I grit my teeth and call out to her, struggling to raise my hand. "Xing Xing, hurry, save Mommy." My daughter stands at the top step, coldly staring at me. "I hate you. Auntie Chin Su is a million times better than you." Even as I close my eyes and lose consciousness completely, she doesn't move an inch. I know we are an ordinary family, and I married an unreliable husband, so my ability to support my daughter is limited. That's why I was strict with my daughter from a young age. Managing both her big and small matters, I know my daughter has always preferred her father, because her father never disciplines her. I also knew that Chin Su would sometimes buy small things for her daughter, which she really liked, but it wasn't until my death that I realized how much my daughter hated me. If that's the case, this lifetime, I will no longer meddle in the affairs of their father and daughter. Knowing that I wouldn't give her money, my daughter grew even more impatient with me. That day, when she returned from looking for a job, her face changed as soon as she saw the table. "I've been working all day, and this is what you make me eat." I sighed at the salted vegetables and steamed buns on the table. "You know our family's situation, don't you?" Husband frowned. "Daughter, you're finally back. Your mom treats me like this all the time." The daughter sneered. I knew my mom was selfish. The reincarnated her knew I had 600,000, but she couldn't say it. She didn't want to reveal that she had been reborn. Her daughter took out her phone and ordered a roast duck, warmly calling out to her husband, "Dad, come and eat while it's hot." But as I stood up, she pulled the plate over, saying, "This is the one I bought for Dad." I forced a smile. "I'm not hungry." Relieved, my daughter joined her husband in enjoying the feast. I truly wasn't hungry. Earlier that day, I had just indulged in a lavish buffet at a 5-star hotel, king crab, Boston lobster, and the finest Wagyu beef. I was stuffed to the brim, reborn into this life. I've come to terms with things, with 600,000 in my pocket. I deserve to treat myself better. My husband slumped in his chair, gnawing on a duck leg, disdainfully glancing at me. "What great skills do you have, always running around outside. You can't even help our daughter find a job." Before the college entrance exam, I did it all for my daughter. Every day, I scoured information about famous teachers, braving the scorching sun to visit one tutoring center after another for internships and evaluations. I truly had no talent. Exhausting all my connections, kneeling to polish shoes, drinking myself into alcohol poisoning at banquets just to get my daughter into the best cram school in the city. But what about my daughter? Repeatedly studying for 3 years, each college entrance exam result was worse than the last. Now she wants to go abroad for further studies, acting on a whim. Hearing her father's words, our daughter glared at me darkly, as if it were truly my fault. She has always been like this since she was young. I solved the problem, but they didn't show any gratitude. Instead, they criticized the way I handled it, saying it wasn't dignified or elegant. Back then, she was being bullied at school to the point where she didn't even dare attend classes. I had no other way to help her, so I cornered the little fat bully who was picking on her and threatened him, "If you touch Chin Chin again, I'll crush your fingers." When the bully's parents came looking for me, I shouted and argued with them in the hallway, completely disregarding my image. After that, everyone knew that Chin Chin's mother was not to be trifled with, so no one dared to bully her anymore. But her husband complained to me, saying, "Aren't you ashamed of embarrassing our daughter? Now everyone knows that Chin Chin has a shrew for a mother." My young daughter also cried and hit me. Why did you have to be my mother? But if I can't solve it, with just a few words from my husband, my daughter will vent all her resentment on me. Dad will always be the one who understands her best. This time, I said nothing. My daughter showed no interest in finding a job, becoming even more irritable, fixated only on her father. It was as if as long as she and her father could be together, rotting away didn't matter. My daughter cursed at me the moment she opened her mouth. "What are you running around outside for all day? You don't even cook at home." I smiled. "I have a job. Your dad is a free man, and so are you." She flew into a rage when I hit a nerve, grabbing things and throwing them around wildly. "I hate you, I hate you." When her husband saw her like this, he was quicker than anyone to leave. "I've got a fishing date, and I'm going to be late. I'm off first." I smiled faintly. "I also had something to take care of outside, so you'll have to figure out lunch on your own. I really am quite busy. I'm busy working out, busy seizing the opportunity to build my cross-border e-commerce business." I never realized how vast this world is. When I returned home, I was surprised to hear my husband on the phone. It's okay, you can take this 200,000 to invest with confidence. Sure, it's just another 10,000 for a card, right? No problem, it's all family business, I'll definitely help out. When he noticed I had overheard, my husband didn't panic like he had in my previous life. My daughter said proudly, the dishes Aunt Chin-Su makes are the most to Dad's liking. I topped up his meal card with 10,000 yuan, so he can eat slowly and to his heart's content. I frowned. If it were before, I would definitely have argued with my daughter, feeling hurt and angry. They always use Chin-Su to belittle me to nothing. She's prettier than me, gentler than me, and more capable than me. My husband thinks that's how a wife should be. Even my daughter thinks that's how a mother should be. Seeing that there was no smile on my face, my daughter proudly raised her chin in front of me, saying, I don't need you to give my dad money, don't treat him like a child. I merely said indifferently, whatever, I won't interfere. I frowned, thinking about something else. They have no savings, and now their daughter isn't working either, so where did the money come from? The daughter paused, seemingly puzzled by my sudden change. My husband said dismissively, after all, it's not like it's a lot of money, what's there to talk about? Father's Day arrived soon, and from early morning, our daughter was especially nervous. This was the day in my previous life when my father-in-law was driven by me to the point of attempting suicide. In the morning, my husband said the same thing as in my previous life, I'm going out for a while, I'll be back for dinner tonight. Her daughter, who had been listless for days, finally mustered the energy to spruce herself up. She rarely smiled, but now she did, though her expression was a bit tense. Dad, I bought you a gift, I'll wait for you, you must come back. Her husband chuckled and patted her head. Our daughter is so thoughtful, no wonder everyone envies me. They were affectionate and close, leaving me feeling like a mere bystander, invisible to them. My husband gave me a triumphant smile as if showing off just before he left the house. I said nothing, and it wasn't until after lunch that I prepared to go out. My daughter bristled as if all her thorns had risen. Where are you going? I feigned anger and said, it's none of your business, you don't need to worry about it. I slammed the door so hard it rattled the walls, and sure enough, my daughter followed right behind. Facing this familiar scene once again, I felt no anger or sorrow from my past life, only a thrilling sense of anticipation. I approached them step by step, pleased to see my husband's expression freeze in an instant. I seemed not to notice Chin-Su wiping the sweat from his face, and I smiled as I asked him, why didn't you tell me you were inviting everyone to dinner? No sooner had the words left my mouth than my daughter suddenly rushed over, pulling me aside as if in a reflex. What do you think you're doing? I will never let you hurt my dad again. Though my daughter's strength was not great, I deliberately let myself fall to the ground. I looked up at her in astonishment. Everyone fell silent, looking at each other in confusion. I staggered to my feet, forcing a smile. I just wanted to bring you all a bottle of wine. Today is, after all, a small celebration. I glanced at Chin-Su. Everyone usually takes such good care of my husband. Today, let me treat you all to something nice on his behalf. Her face looked a bit uneasy. A good drink. How good? Don't think that just because we're a small shop, we don't have any good wine. I curled my lips in a faint smile. The best. I placed a thick stack of cash on the counter. Is this enough? On her counter, the best wine she had was nothing more than ordinary Wolanya wine. My cross-border e-commerce business keeps breaking sales records, and this amount of money is something I don't even need to think twice about. My husband's friends started teasing. Sister-in-law, you're amazing. Sister-in-law, you're so generous. Brother Chen really married a great wife. Chin-Su's expression twisted slightly, but she quickly composed herself. She walked over to my husband and gently placed her hand on his shoulder. So that's why sister-in-law is so good. How come Brother Wayman always says that sister-in-law doesn't know how to dress up, and isn't gentle? I really have to stand up for sister-in-law. As soon as these words were spoken, the expressions of everyone present became somewhat subtle. Her daughter, however, affectionately linked arms with her. Aunt Sue, everything my dad said to you is the truth. My mother can't compare to you. It's as if they are the real family of three. Chin-Su always wore a plain floral dress, smiling and chatting with people, compared to me, who was always disheveled, arguing with people over a 5-cent discount until my face turned red. She genuinely wished for a different mother. The banquet resumed its lively atmosphere, and my daughter grabbed my wrist, pulling me to a secluded spot where her expression turned dark and menacing. Mom, did you also get a second chance at life? My heart skipped a beat, but I quickly regained my composure. I feigned confusion and looked at her, asking, what do you mean by a second chance? What are you talking about? I reached up to touch my daughter's forehead, asking, are you running a fever and talking nonsense? She recoiled in disgust, but it seemed she had already accepted my rebirth. She looked at me haughtily, her expression one of smug certainty, as if she had seen through everything. Leaning close to my ear, she said, "It seems I did the right thing in my previous life, and now you finally know how to be a good wife." In that instant, it was as if I could see her again, standing on the steps, coldly watching me. A massive block of ice seemed to clog my heart, after living 2 lifetimes. I still couldn't understand how my once pink-cheeked, adorable daughter, whom I used to hold so tenderly in my arms, had turned out the way she did. When did it start? Was it when she hadn't finished her holiday homework in elementary school, yet insisted on going out to play with her dad the day before school started, and I stood firmly in front of the door, forcing her to do her homework? Was it when she was in high school and wanted to give up on college for that little punk? And I couldn't help but lay a hand on her. As I was lost in thought, she suddenly fixed her gaze on me, and I understood. "You're refusing to give me money just to get back at me, aren't you? You just want to see me and my dad suffer." She suddenly realized. No wonder, how laughable, whether in her past life or this one, she always felt that all the misfortunes in her life were because of me. She lowered her voice and warned, "I'm telling you, don't you dare harm my father this lifetime. Without you, we will live a good life together this lifetime." The daughter turned and left. The next second, a notification sound came from her phone. She had forgotten her phone. It was a message about her online loan. I almost burst out laughing. "My dear daughter, is this the confidence you flaunt in front of me? Very well. In this lifetime, we will all get what we deserve." After I visited the farmhouse that day, Chinsu seemed to feel that she had lost face for the first time in front of me. And so she began to frequently invite my husband out. My husband no longer takes his fishing gear when he goes out, but he comes home later and later. In fact, I understand what Chinsu is thinking. She had a glorious and beautiful youth, but now that her husband is gone, she struggles to keep this countryside in running, dealing with middle-aged and elderly men who only want to take advantage of her. She needs a sycophant to reminisce about her best days. She was even more unwilling to lose to a woman as vulgar as me. When I asked my husband what he was doing outside, he would always get impatient and snap, "What's it to you? I spend my daughter's money, you have no right to interfere." When he replied, the overly sweet perfume on his body made me nauseous. When I pressed him too hard, my daughter would step in to cover for him. Dad and I went out. I looked at the red lipstick mark he had deliberately left on his collar, pretending not to notice. I said with a hint of pleading, "It's okay, as long as our family is well." Daughter gave her dad a triumphant wink. "Ha, I told you mom has learned her lesson." Her husband looked at me with satisfaction. "That's more like it." Under my weakness, he became even more unrestrained. The first time I saw Chinsu at home, I froze for a moment, then stammered. I remembered I have something to do. I won't be back for dinner tonight." Then I fled the house as if escaping. I went to the most expensive SPA in the city for a treatment. Lately, everyone who sees me compliments my good complexion. Wanting to live beautifully and gracefully is so easy. It's nothing more than spending more money and doing less work. As I walked out of the store with ease, I finally received a video on my phone of my husband and Chinsu rolling into bed together. Chinsu coquettishly asked, "Who's prettier, me or your wife?" My husband's pale, naked body moved in a revolting manner. His expression intoxicated. "How could she compare to you? Even if she came to me, I wouldn't even touch her." My husband even learned some rather trendy love words. "You'll always be my little baby." I wrapped myself up tightly, found an internet cafe, and uploaded the video online, with the title "Caught in the Act." Very clear, their faces were clearly visible. After all, now that I have money, I bought them the best pinhole cameras, but I didn't play the audio. The public loves to watch these scenes of catching adulterers. The video was quickly taken down, but it had already spread everywhere. They shot to fame overnight, and it wasn't long before their past was dug up. Chinsu came running up to me, furious, and cursed, "You old hag. How dare you scheme against me?" She no longer cared about maintaining her poise and elegance. She reached out to grab my hair, but I swiftly twisted my arm and threw her to the ground. She lifted her head out of the muddy water, disheveled. You. I turned gracefully. I took up some self-defense techniques during my free time. Her husband no longer dared to step outside. He hid in his room, pulling the curtains tightly shut, and sat blankly on the edge of the bed. My daughter went berserk, finding the camera and smashing it at my feet, hysterically accusing me. "You're doing it again. Do you have to drive my father to his death to be satisfied? What sin did we commit in our past lives to have you as family in this one?" I calmly took out the divorce agreement. "Let's get divorced." They stared at me in disbelief. My husband quickly snapped out of it, grabbing the agreement and skimming through it. "The house goes to me. And your savings stay with you?" I nodded. He hesitated and looked at Qinxing. It was as if the daughter had grasped the light, agreeing with her dad. It wasn't a loss. Indeed, she knew I had 600,000 in savings, but this house is worth 800,000. What she could never have imagined was that my savings had already approached 2 million, and my future is even more limitless. That's why I need to get rid of them as soon as possible. My husband signed the papers without hesitation. And that very night I moved into the most expensive presidential suite in the city, carrying just my bag, over 3,000 yuan a night, something I never even dared to dream of before. I lounged comfortably on the sofa, sipping champagne, while the waiter delivering the meal couldn't help but steal a couple of extra glances at me. It was only when I opened my phone that I discovered the father and daughter were live streaming online, slandering me. The daughter's eyes were red and swollen. Her voice choked with emotion as she recounted how my mother had suffocated us from a young age, even if we were just 5 minutes late coming home, or if we encountered an accident on the way. My father and I had to kneel and apologize to her. Whenever I didn't do well on an exam, she would force me to kneel on the ground like a dog and lick leftover food. She was used to controlling my life. When I didn't like the matchmaker she chose for me, she persuaded my husband to divorce me. My husband sighed, blaming himself for not being able to earn enough to take me away from her. My daughter shook her head, disagreeing. She knew that back then, my work performance was far better than my mother's, but whenever I stayed late at work, she would go to the office and cause a scene, accusing me of having an affair. Even the boss's testimony couldn't help, and it forced me to lose my job. She looked back at the camera, and I knew my father had done something wrong. But it was all my mother's vicious scheme. Her tone grew resentful, and Qinsu felt sorry for my father and me, and out of some old affection, she would buy me little cakes and dresses whenever she saw me. My mother became jealous. She tricked Aunt Qinsu into our home, drugged her, and filmed her with my father. Online public opinion was almost unanimous, because no one believed that a biological daughter would help her father's mistress slander and frame her own mother. Netizens even began to sympathize with Qinsu. I've been to her home, such a super gentle and cheerful shopkeeper. How tragic. Qinsu's farmhouse reopened, and in no time, it was bustling with people. She and my husband quickly got their marriage certificate, thankful for the misfortune that brought us together. She even posted a photo of herself hugging my daughter. I will take good care of you all over again. Netizens were moved to tears. Oh my, how truly gentle. How could someone like this be a mistress? I was doxxed and became synonymous with the vicious tiger mom. My phone was flooded with abusive messages. Even after I turned it off, someone was waiting at my workplace to throw paint on me. The humiliating video of paint dripping down my hair was posted online, and netizens roared with laughter, calling it my just deserts. I merely watched the spectacle coldly. When the leader called me to the office and delicately said, "After so many years of working, even if there's no merit, there's still hard work, but with you acting like this, how can we get any work done?" I smiled and handed over the resignation letter I had prepared long ago. As I boarded the plane to Hawaii, I released the full audio-accompanied version of the video. The conversation in the video was more than enough to prove that both father and daughter had lied. This is a case of a pair of adulterers caught in the act. The situation suddenly reversed, and netizens, angered by being proven wrong, retaliated against them even more fiercely. Shameless, cheating and framing the original partner. Good heavens, how could such a thing be born? My husband turned into a chinshimi. Netizens no longer praised Qinsu for appearing to have escaped the ravages of time, but instead called her little baby, asking, "How old are you now?" Under the extreme contrast, little baby became the latest internet buzzword. Qinsu's countryside couldn't continue operating, as people would come every day just to check in and maliciously call her little baby. Netizens began to sympathize with me, feeling that being betrayed by both my husband and daughter was simply too tragic. I heard that I was even fired because of this. What kind of lousy company is that? Boycott their products. The leadership was frantically trying to contact me, hoping to invite me back to work. But I didn't respond to a single word. I was basking in the limelight in Hawaii, surrounded by adulation and admiration. Because I'm particularly generous with my spending, I casually tip $100 when I'm in a good mood. In the past, my daughter always wanted to come here, but I kept telling her it was too expensive and that she should think about the future when managing her finances. Now I'm here in her place, and it's indeed quite nice. While a young guy with 8-pack abs was giving me a shoulder massage, I happened to catch my daughter's live stream. She broke down in tears in front of the camera. The woman said her farmhouse business couldn't keep going, and for the sake of a 20,000 yuan betrothal gift, she was going to marry me off to a 40-something cripple. She said it was all because of my parents, and it was my debt to repay. My father didn't dare to say a word. She wiped away her tears. I took on over 200,000 in online loans for my dad. The gold bracelet he gave that woman was bought with my money. Now I'm about to become a deadbeat, and they don't care about me at all. He deceived me and forced me to join him in framing my mother. She spoke sincerely into the camera. Mom, I miss you so much. Where are you? I finally understand that you are the one who loves me the most in this world. Suddenly, Chin-Su's sharp voice came through in the background. How can you even cry? You're a second-hand item, and I haven't treated you badly. It's me who's had the misfortune of 8 lifetimes, meeting a man like your father. Chin-Shing, unable to endure any longer, turned around and started fighting with her. Both of them desperately grabbed each other's hair and tumbled to the ground in a disheveled mess. In 2 lifetimes, Chin-Shing finally understood. But it was too late. My heart has been shattered by her. This incident keeps taking unexpected turns, making it the hottest topic online recently. The Chinese tourists nearby were also scrolling through their phones. This little girl is also pitiful. Her mother is so heartless to just leave like that. Immediately, someone rebutted, how is that heartless? What she did before, which mother wouldn't feel heartbroken about? The internet was no different. A small portion of people sympathized, but the majority scolded her for bringing it upon herself. A daughter who doesn't empathize with her mother deserves her fate. I think this father and daughter duo were just scheming, assuming the mistress was wealthier and trying to drive out the original wife. Little did they expect that karma would come full circle, and the mistress turned out to be just as venomous, biting back viciously. It's truly satisfying. Meanwhile, even more people were watching the spectacle, eagerly anticipating yet another twist. No one recognized me as the pitiful original wife. I got a makeover, bought new clothes, and no one could tell I was already 50. The young guy casually said, sis, since you're so wealthy and it's fate that we connected, why not help this young girl out? My expression changed. Don't you think she should take responsibility for her own actions? He smiled innocently, but she already knew she had made a mistake. I turned cold and said, you can leave now. I'll have your boss send over a different local guide. He panicked. Sister, I was wrong. Please don't be angry. A client like me, who has no special demands and tips generously, is quite rare. Moreover, since he was replaced by me, he is definitely going to be punished. But I still drove him away. Before, I would always endure and swallow my pride for the sake of a little money, living a stifled life my whole life, only to die in the same stifled manner. I knew my husband couldn't manage life, and I knew my daughter was willful, but I still endured it all. Now, I no longer have to endure anyone. The truth is being gradually uncovered. Chin-Su's farmhouse business was actually on the verge of collapse long ago, which is why she resorted to various schemes to entice people to top up their meal cards. My husband was just one of them, but the affair brought her an overwhelming amount of traffic. She easily convinced them to turn against her, hoping to trade a bucket of dirty water, a marriage, for immense wealth and traffic. What they didn't expect was that, despite having such clear audio, I didn't release it. To save her countryside in, she had no choice but to use my daughter as a bargaining chip. My husband, a jobless wanderer, now relies on her for sustenance, so he goes to great lengths to help her persuade our daughter. It was only then that my daughter realized that the father she had thought loved her the most, and whom she had considered her closest confidant, was just like that. But no matter how much she regretted it, it was too late. I continued my carefree life, and after chasing away the yen hunk, everyone served me with even greater caution. I no longer had any unpleasant incidents, until I saw a news report. A 26-year-old woman surnamed Chen accidentally stabbed her father due to dissatisfaction with her marriage. I thought, I need to go back home. The days in the detention center must have been quite difficult. When I saw my daughter, her face was sallow, and she even had some white hairs, looking almost as old as someone my age. I took off my sunglasses, and she paused for a moment, then stood up excitedly. Mom, she was so shocked that she couldn't even form a complete sentence. How? She quickly understood that those who were reborn were bound to receive some benefits. I didn't explain much, only telling her, I'll find you a lawyer. Her eyes turned red, and the tears wouldn't stop falling. Mom, you're still the one who treats me the best. I was truly blinded by stupidity before, but I'm glad you forgave me, she said bitterly. There isn't a single man in this world who can be trusted. I gave a sardonic smile, leaned closer to her, and whispered in a low voice, Chin-Shing, past and present, what makes you think I would ever forgive you? She stared at me with wide eyes, as if she couldn't figure it out no matter how hard she tried. You admitted it. I nodded. So what? I've been reborn to save myself. She wholeheartedly just wants her father to stay alive, yet she herself plunged the knife into his stomach. The daughter shook her head and kept backing away. No, you're my mother. You couldn't possibly abandon me. You only have me as your daughter, but it was because of a daughter like her that I died in agony and despair in my previous life. Then why did you come to see me? Why? Because I also hate my husband, both emotionally and logically. I should fulfill this last bit of affection, so I will find her a lawyer. I've already paid the lawyer's fees. No matter what happens to you later, our mother-daughter bond ends here. This is the last thing I'll do for you. We don't need to see each other again. I got up and left. My daughter was crying heartbrokenly behind me. Mom, come back. Don't leave me. I really know I was wrong. I didn't turn back. Her daughter will pay for the life she ruined in prison, and my husband. He has become a broken man, forced to live with a urinary bag for the rest of his life. Chinsu's countryside and is completely hopeless now. The debts she owes can never be repaid, and she has long since disappeared without a trace. Their faces and names have been exposed, and they will have to live like rats scurrying across the street for the rest of their lives, after disappearing from the internet for a long time. I finally turned on the live stream. I restrainedly recounted this noisy story from my perspective. The way I restarted my life with a completely new appearance instantly made me an internet sensation. My career reached new heights again with the help of the traffic. I will live this reborn life very, very well. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. During the plane crash, my pilot husband escaped with his white moonlight. When the plane crash occurred, my pilot husband looked at me and his white moonlight with a face full of difficulty. Without hesitation, I stuffed the last parachute into the hands of the two. In my previous life, after much deliberation, my husband gave the parachute to me, who was pregnant, and stayed on the doomed plane, intending to die with his white moonlight. However, the imagined journey to the afterlife never happened. His white moonlight died in the crash, but he survived. From then on, my husband stayed by my side every day, eagerly awaiting the birth of our child. I was filled with joy, but on the day our child reached a month old, he smothered the baby to death with his own hands, right in front of me. If it weren't for you insisting on following me, there wouldn't be one less parachute on the plane. You killed my beloved, and today, I will make you taste this pain. Overcome with grief, I chose to end it together with him. When I opened my eyes again, I had somehow returned to the day of the plane crash. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain calm, take your life jackets and do not panic. A familiar voice pulled me back from the darkness. Instead of rushing to grab the life jacket and parachute, I gently placed my hands on my abdomen. My child was still there, safe and sound. In my daze, a hand patted my shoulder. Startled, I looked up to see the chief flight attendant of this luxurious flight. Seeing my stunned expression, she rolled her eyes in disdain. The captain said that the passenger should leave first, and as the captain's wife, you'll stay behind with us. I paused for a moment, and gave a different response from my previous life. I'm just an ordinary passenger on this flight. Why should I take on the responsibility of your crew? The purser looked at me, a disdainful curl forming at the corner of her mouth. Who doesn't know you're here just to keep an eye on Miss Sue? Clinging on shamelessly, you already have a child, yet you're still so jealous all the time. You took Miss Sue's seat, forcing her to squeeze into the cockpit. I might as well tell you straight, there's one less life jacket on this plane. After speaking, the purser dressed herself and continued to check on the passengers' preparations, and I sat in my seat, feeling a mixture of emotions. I had actually been reborn to this moment. In my previous life, my pilot husband Zhao Minglang had also violated the rules by bringing along his first love, Su Jinma, but I was unaware of this. I boarded this flight simply because I happened to be attending a meeting in the same city. I bought the last ticket on a whim, so Su Jinma, who had boarded the plane for free through the captain's connections, could only reluctantly squeeze into the cockpit. As a result, there was one extra person on the plane, which meant one less life jacket. After the crash, completely unaware of the situation, I had intended to stay until the end, to face life and death together with Zhao Minglang. At the crucial moment, Zhao Minglang clenched his teeth and gave me the last life jacket. In the face of my grateful tears, he said this, "Enro, I'm sorry to trouble you to raise the child alone. Tell him that his father was a hero." He urged me to put on the life jacket, strap on the parachute, but as he pushed me out of the plane, I heard him whisper to Bayuiguan Su Jinma, "Little Jasmine, although we cannot live together, we can die together," which is a kind of happiness. Disappointingly, Su Jinma died in a plane crash, while Zhao Minglang miraculously emerged unscathed. But later, the man who had asked me to tell our child that he was a hero, killed our just 1-month-old daughter right in front of me. Thinking of that chilling scene, I couldn't help but tremble. It was he who wanted to die together. It was he who chose to save me. It was Zhao Minglang who violated the rules, resulting in an extra person on the plane. So why, in the end, does my child have to pay for the life of his white moonlight? What guilt does my young child bear, and how innocent am I? I merely happened to buy the last ticket, so why should I end up like this? I trembled uncontrollably from past memories. When the purser passed by me, she sneered with mockery, "Still the captain's wife, afraid like that, you can't compare to our Jean-ma." I didn't argue, merely raising my hand to wipe away a tear from the corner of my eye. Yes, in all of Zhao Mingling's friends and colleagues' eyes, I could never measure up to Su Jean-ma. Su Jean-ma was once the most beautiful flight attendant in their cabin crew, and she certainly seemed more deserving of being paired with Zhao Mingling, the pilot, but it was Su Jean-ma herself who, after meeting a wealthy businessman in the VIP cabin, left without a word, which led to Zhao Mingling marrying me. Thinking about this, a sharp pain begins to spread in my chest. Perhaps they had both grown tired of having me in the middle of their lives long ago, and would rather embrace death together than endure another day with me. As the plane violently shook, I gripped the armrests tightly with both hands, barely managing to steady myself. The screams around me grew increasingly shrill, and finally, the announcement from the flight attendants came again. "The aircraft has descended to an appropriate altitude. Passengers who are ready, please begin queuing for evacuation in an orderly manner." I turned back in panic, watching the crowd in front of me jump down one by one in an orderly fashion, my nails slowly digging into my palm. In the chaos, Zhao Mingling's voice rang out above me, "And Ro, who allowed you to follow? I've already married you. What more could you possibly be dissatisfied with? It's all because of your presence that there's one less set of life-saving equipment on the plane. Tell me yourself, what am I supposed to do now?" Finally, this last sentence. Zhao Mingling's voice carried a hint of hoarseness and hesitation. This made me think of my previous life. In my previous life, I watched as Su Jean-ma was protected by Zhao Mingling, and in an instant, I understood everything, crying and demanding an explanation from him. But he didn't give me an explanation. Instead, he decisively put a life jacket on me and pushed me out of the plane with a firm shove. Now, as I look at the pair before me, I can't help but laugh. The man I loved wholeheartedly for so many years, the one I took care of for so long, now seems so despicable. I decisively take out the last set of life-saving equipment and gently hand it to Zhao Mingling. "Since that's what you think, then you wear this life jacket, Zhao Mingling. Take your white moonlight and run away quickly." Zhao Mingling looked utterly astonished. "And Ro, what do you mean by this? How could you be so kind? Do you have some scheme? What exactly are you trying to do?" He shielded Su Jean-ma firmly behind him, as if I had handed him not a life jacket, but a bomb capable of taking the life of his beloved. Seeing Zhao Mingling's astonished and furious gaze, I gently shook my head. "This plane is about to crash, Zhao Mingling. I'm giving you the last life jacket so you can make up for the regret of not being able to save your beloved. So, in your eyes, such an act is a conspiracy." Zhao Mingling's eyes were fixed on me, filled with an emotion I couldn't quite decipher. In the dead silence, Su Jean-ma suddenly burst into tears. "Mingling, I know I was wrong for boarding the plane without a ticket, but since sister is willing to let us go, let's hurry and leave. Sister being able to marry you shows she's a blessed person. Besides, we two are of one heart, neither of us wanting to escape alone. This way, it's the best solution." Hearing Su Jean-ma's sobs, Zhao Mingling suddenly jerked his gaze away from me as if struck by electricity. His hands trembled slightly as he quickly put a life jacket on Su Jean-ma. "You're right, and Ro is blessed with great fortune and a strong life. She'll be fine." After saying this, Zhao Mingling bent down and, without any hesitation, meticulously checked Su Jean-ma's equipment right in front of me. Once he confirmed everything was in order, he reached out and wrapped his arm around the woman's slender waist. Under my silent gaze, the two suddenly disappeared before me. The once stable aircraft had now transformed into a tattered plastic bag swaying left and right as it plummeted. I pursed my lips, gripped the seat beside me, and slowly maneuvered myself into the cockpit. The cockpit was surprisingly spacious. No wonder Su Jean-ma liked to hide here. Over the years of our marriage, every time I suggested visiting the cockpit, Zhao Mingling would always turn stern and refuse. "You're not part of our crew. What right do you have to visit the cockpit? It's full of critical equipment. What if you break something? Do you think you could afford to pay for it?" After being scolded so many times, I simply gave up on the idea. Who would have thought that in this lifetime, I would still have the chance to step into the cockpit, into the love nest of Zhao Mingling and Su Jean-ma? After fumbling to sit in the captain's seat, I let out a self-deprecating smile. Directly in front of this seat, there was a sticker with Su Jean-ma's name on it. In the past, I had only heard of boyfriends putting stickers on car seats designating them as girlfriend's seat. Today, I truly got to see it for myself. Originally, at such a close distance, Zhao Mingling had brazenly displayed his love for Su Jean-ma in the cockpit, flaunting it openly. I reached out, wanting to tear off that glaring sticker, but upon closer inspection, I found a line of small text beneath it. If we cannot share the same bed in life, may we share the same tomb in death. Suddenly, I felt a tickling sensation on my face. Reaching up to wipe it, I realized it was my tears. Originally, they had already made a vow to live and die together. My heart was as cold as ash. Through the glass in front of me, I watched the increasingly close sea surface and simply closed my eyes. In the darkness, I thought of many things. Originally, Zhao Minglang and I were not deeply in love, but we could at least be considered respectful to each other. It wasn't until Su Jinma was abandoned that she ran, crying, into Zhao Minglang's arms at the airport during his shift change. As if she couldn't see the hand I was holding with Zhao Minglang, she wrapped her arms around his waist, tears streaming down her face. That was the first time I saw Su Jinma. Back then, Zhao Minglang gave me a guarded look, then, in front of everyone, subtly let go of my hand. I was furious. Yanking Su Jinma off Zhao Minglang, he immediately turned grim, warning me not to interfere with his efforts to calm down a colleague. Yes, although Su Jinma is currently unemployed, in Zhao Minglang's words, she is a colleague who can stand shoulder to shoulder with him. As the captain, he helps his colleagues buy breakfast, fix light bulbs, unclog drains, and even thoughtfully arranges for me to cook brown sugar ginger tea for them during their periods. I can't bear this humiliation. And I've had countless arguments with Zhao Minglang, but each time, he gives me the same reply: Jinemo is already so pitiful, can't you show some compassion? You've already gotten what you wanted by marrying me. Do you really need to keep me tied to your belt every day to be satisfied? These scenes that once pierced my heart so deeply now only leave me speechless when I think of them. I pursed my lips, opened my eyes, and looked at the approaching sea, anticipating death. Or perhaps a new beginning. After a deafening sound, the glass on the plane shattered under the immense impact. Yet, miraculously, those sharp fragments flowed around me with the water. Seeing the glass shards, swept by the waves, stabbing toward my left side, I was suddenly startled. Su Jinma had once added me on WeChat through a convoluted process, and her personal signature was quite peculiar. I am on your left side, close to the heart. No wonder Zhao Minglang came out unscathed in the previous life, while Su Jinma died on the spot. It turned out to be because of their ridiculous vow of love. My swimming skills are excellent, but under such intense impact, I still swallowed a lot of water. Due to the discomfort brought on by pregnancy, I ultimately failed to make it to the shore. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself lying in the stark white of a hospital. Seeing that I had woken up, the young nurse by my bedside gave a sweet smile. Your condition isn't good right now, so don't rush to get up. I'll go call the doctor. She quickly walked out of the ward, and before leaving, as if worried that I would be bored, she deliberately turned on the TV. The TV news was reporting on the plane crash that had occurred 2 days earlier, but as the reporter's mouth opened and closed, the content of the report was that there were no casualties. I was suddenly struck with a jolt of shock. No casualties? Then what about me? Perhaps because I had been unconscious for too long. As soon as I got up, I felt dizzy. In the midst of my dizziness, a doctor who had rushed over quickly supported me. Are you okay? The fishing boat that went out to sea saved you. Do you remember the phone number of your family? I'll help you notify them. I opened my mouth, and after a long while, I managed to say Zhao Minglang's phone number. It wasn't that I wanted to contact him, but he was indeed the last family I had in this world. The doctor held the phone, gave me a sympathetic look, and turned on the speaker. On the other end of the line, Zhao Minglang's slightly hoarse voice came through. Who are you looking for? In addition to his voice, a woman's cooing could be faintly heard on the phone. Minglang Gage, my foot still hurts so much. Zhao Minglang let out a soft chuckle, as if picking up something. You spoiled brat, who told you to be so careless? Let me apply the medicine for you. The doctor, hearing the two flirt and banter, rolled his eyes and coughed lightly to interrupt. You're Zhao Minglang, right? Your wife, Enro, is currently at the seaside hospital. Immediately after, I heard Su Jinma scream, the sound of things being knocked over, and Zhao Minglang's enigmatic question, after the plane crash. The kerosene leaked, causing it to burn to ashes, yet you tell me Enro is still alive. Who exactly are you, and what is your purpose? I calmly took his phone from the increasingly grim-faced doctor, speaking coldly. He is the doctor who saved my life. Zhao Minglang, I'm not dead. Are you disappointed? Zhao Minglang's voice, which had been full of accusations just moments ago, suddenly stuck in his throat. After a long silence, he nervously lowered his voice. Enro, don't let anyone know about your safety yet. I need to ask you something. I'll come find you later. With that, Zhao Minglang hung up the phone decisively. The doctor and nurse stared at the scene in stunned silence, then simultaneously pointed to the TV behind them. Zhao Minglang, is your husband the captain of the crashed plane? How could he leave his pregnant wife behind on the crashed plane? And how could he possibly tell the rescue team that all the passengers had safely escaped? Yes, how could he tell the rescue team that all the passengers had safely escaped? It turns out that my husband not only took the last life jacket without a shred of guilt, but also sealed off all my means of survival. I lowered my eyes, my heart filled with bitterness, my hands tightly clenched into fists, yet I didn't know how to speak, realizing my mood was off. The nurse knew she had said something wrong and covered her mouth while helping me close the ward door. I buried my face in the clean white bedding and finally broke down, sobbing uncontrollably. That afternoon, Zhao Minglang didn't come, but the chief stewardess who had glared at me on the plane did. She pushed the door open, seeing my haggard appearance, and a hint of awkwardness flickered across her face. Still, she lowered her eyes and walked over, placing a pile of miscellaneous health supplements on my bedside, and Ro, Zhao Minglang is temporarily tied up and asked me to come check on you first. I smiled faintly at the news, not even bothering to lift my eyelids. Is he busy accompanying Su Jinma? So, in the eyes of your crew members, the pregnant woman who gave up my parachute, crashed, and had a miscarriage, still can't compare to that former employee. The chief stewardess kept her head down the entire time, not daring to meet my eyes. After a while, she tentatively spoke in a soft voice, and Ro, ever since Zhao Minglang became the captain, I've been his chief stewardess. I've watched him grow, like he's my own younger brother. Now, he's made a grave mistake, hiding the news of your death, because Su Jinma wants to return to the crew, and if it's discovered now that Su Jinma violated regulations to board the plane, then, the purser's voice grew softer and softer until it finally trailed off. I raised my head and stared at her for a long time. You know full well that it was Zhao Minglang who violated the rules by bringing someone onto the plane, and you know that I'm the one who suffered because of Su Jinma, but now, as the chief stewardess second only to Zhao Minglang on this plane, you come to persuade me, to convince me that nothing happened. Is that right? This once proud chief stewardess, who had always favored Su Jinma over me, quietly listened to my accusation. Her head bowed deeply, and she remained silent for a long time. Since she didn't speak, I simply closed my eyes to rest. This chief stewardess was a formidable figure, and she was also the guardian of Su Jinma and Zhao Minglang's love. Since Su Jinma was abandoned and returned to the country, Zhao Minglang has always found various excuses to go out. We often quarrel, and sometimes when he feels annoyed or too lazy to explain to me, he will shift the blame to the chief stewardess. I'm with Sister Zhang. Sister Zhang called us to gather. It's not good to refuse. It's not just the two of us. Sister Zhang is here too. She's always fair and just. So what are you worried about? Thinking of Zhao Minglang's past excuses, I suddenly burst out laughing. In the past, whenever Zhao Minglang went to meet Su Jinma privately, he always told me you were there too. He even said that you were the most fair and just, asking me what I had to be worried about. The usually most fair and just purser's eyes suddenly reddened, and Ro, I'm sorry, I was just, she still couldn't bring herself to finish the sentence. In the midst of the silence, the sharp ring of a phone suddenly pierced the air. I fumbled under my pillow, only to remember that my phone had been lost in the plane crash. The purser exhaled slowly, as if thanking the phone for breaking the awkward silence, but the moment she pulled out the phone, her slightly relaxed brow furrowed again. I didn't need to look to know that the caller must be Zhao Minglang. At my glance, the purser pressed the connect button. Soon, Zhao Minglang's anticipated voice came through. Sister Zhang, how did it go? Did she agree? Xiamoli's reinstatement application has already been submitted. At this critical moment, we absolutely cannot afford any mistakes. The usually protective head steward, rarely, showed anger towards Zhao Minglang. Zhao Minglang, you are Ro's husband. She fell from the plane in despair while trying to save the rule-breaking Su Jinma. How could you not even ask her a single word? Zhao Minglang's cheerful voice got stuck in his throat, and he let out a soft, indifferent She's not dead, is she? Little Jasmine said it herself, and Ro being able to marry me is her fortune, now that she's kept her life. Isn't that still thanks to little Jasmine's blessing? Besides, I just heard her talking, and her voice was full of energy. It's clear she's fine. What's most important now is getting our little Jasmine reinstated. The purser clenched her teeth as she listened to Zhao Minglang, her hands trembling as she gripped her phone, yet Zhao Minglang seemed oblivious, continuing to prattle on. Good sister, just help me persuade Ro. Once this is over and little Jasmine is reinstated, we'll still be the airport trio. You said it yourself, Xiaomoli and I are like your younger brother and sister-in-law. Just seeing us makes you happy. As Zhao Minglang continued his rambling, the usually mild-mannered flight attendant suddenly cursed. Zhao Minglang, do you even have a shred of humanity left? Your wife made it possible for you two lovebirds, and now she's lying in the hospital. She almost died, and you really have nothing to say to her? From the other end of the phone, Sujinma's voice came neither too high nor too low. Sister Zhang, why are you being so harsh? Who did she sacrifice herself for? I had already planned to die with Brother Minglang. It was her who insisted on giving us the parachute. Besides, you always say. Before Sujinma could finish her coquettish words, she was cut off by the chief stewardess, who spoke coldly. Enough. I've finally seen what it means to have the heart of a wolf and the lungs of a dog today. In the past, I helped you to make you behave, not to let you two adulterers step all over me. After angrily shouting this, the purser trembled as she pressed the button to end the call. Before leaving, she looked deeply at me, pale and fragile on the bed, and bowed. In the past, it was I who wronged you, and I will report this matter impartially. I didn't respond. The purser was silent for a moment before leaving with his head lowered. I had just woken up from a coma, my body extremely weak. The recent meeting had already drained too much of my energy. Just as I was about to take a short nap, the door to the ward was suddenly kicked open with a loud bang. My husband, Zhao Minglang, came in, shielding Sujinma, whose face was streaked with tears. I was physically and mentally exhausted, having no desire to confront them, so I slightly narrowed my eyes. Seeing my calm expression, Sujinma broke down in tears and threw herself at my feet. And what have I done to offend you? Why would you be so malicious as to ruin my chance of reinstatement? Now everyone outside is laughing at me, mocking me as Minglang's mistress. Why can't you stand our pure friendship? Why must you be so cruel to a poor person like me? She shook my shoulders like a madwoman. I had just had an abortion. And with her forceful shake, I immediately vomited. Zhao Minglang frowned at the scene, quickly stepping in to shield Sujinma behind him. And why do you have to hurt Xiaomoli again as soon as we meet? She was living perfectly fine abroad. If it weren't for you, she wouldn't have been abandoned. Everything you have now is the retribution for your malicious intentions. Don't think that giving up the parachute means we owe you anything. You owe Xiaomoli. And it's something you'll never be able to repay. He seemed to be extremely furious. Shouting at the top of his lungs, the doctor and nurses rushed in upon hearing the commotion, ignoring the tense atmosphere between the two of them, and instead first helped me change into a clean set of bedding. Only after confirming that I was not seriously injured did the nurse glare at Zhao Minglang. So you're Captain Zhao, huh? You're so aggressive, anyone would think you and the patient were mortal enemies. When Ms. and was rescued, she had nothing on her, may I ask? Did she use telepathy to communicate with your director to destroy this White Lotus's reinstatement? Zhao Minglang's face stiffened from the retort, and instead of showing any remorse, he became even angrier as he glared at me. I knew all along that Enro is skilled at pretending to be weak to win people's hearts. It hasn't been long, yet not only have the doctors and nurses sided with you, but you've even managed to charm our head stewardess away. Let me tell you, Enro. It's all because of you that the head stewardess resigned in disgrace, and because of you, Lilac failed to get her job back. You vicious woman, I truly wish I could. Seeing him struggle to find the right words, I leaned back in my seat and spoke coldly. Do you wish for me to die? Zhao Minglang, you saw it with your own eyes. I was the only one left on the crashed plane, yet, even so, heaven did not let me die. Sujinma, upon hearing my words, disdainfully rolled her eyes. Surviving on your own isn't anything special. You love Minglang so much, yet you couldn't even protect Minglang's child. It's all because you're selfish, only caring about yourself. Zhao Minglang, who had just been full of anger, suddenly frowned and looked at Sujinma. All right, you're also a woman. Don't use the child to provoke her. As these words were spoken, both Sujinma and I turned our eyes toward Zhao Minglang, in both past and present lives. This was the first time Zhao Minglang had chosen to stand on my side between Sujinma and me, but the next moment, Zhao Minglang, his expression unchanged, spoke the second half. She has maliciously slandered you out of jealousy in the past, and now she has caused your reinstatement to fail. If she is provoked again, who knows what this venomous woman might do? I didn't move. I raised my eyes to Zhao Minglang, who was guarding Sujinma, and suddenly spoke. Zhao Minglang, let's get a divorce. Hearing these unexpected words, Zhao Minglang's face was filled with confusion. And what did you say? You want a divorce from me? Why would you think that? I just wanted you to help keep it a secret for Xiaomoli until she successfully gets reinstated. I'll compensate you afterward. Such a small matter, why would it lead to divorce? Sujinma listened to Zhao Minglang's words, her eyes filled with surprise as she looked at him. Minglang. Last time you said not getting a divorce was for the sake of the child. Now that the child is gone and the she-tiger has agreed, what's wrong with you? Zhao Minglang rarely neglected to cater to Sujinma's emotions, but this time, he eagerly turned to me. All right, stop pouting and being jealous for no reason. Although I've been closer to Xiaomoli lately, our relationship is completely innocent. Besides, taking care of her is all about making up for the harm you caused her, isn't it? This was the second time today I heard about the so-called harm I supposedly inflicted on Su Jinma. Once upon a time, I didn't even know such a person existed in the world. I furrowed my brow and looked at Zhao Minglang. Since you think I hurt her, let's just clear this up today. What exactly did I do to make you hate me so much? As I questioned him, Zhao Minglang's brows, which had just relaxed, furrowed again. You really are incorrigible with your vicious heart, even now. You still want me to tear open little Jasmine's scars. You are truly beyond redemption. Beside Zhao Minglang, Su Jinma shed a few timely tears. Minglang, don't say any more. I believe that Sister Anna didn't mean it at the time. Now that I'm back, even though I can only stay by your side as a friend, just feeling your care still makes me feel happy. The two people in front of me, one blushing shyly, the other deeply moved. Without hesitation, I picked up the water glass from the table and threw it directly at Zhao Minglang's head. No one wants to see the love details of you two friends. Zhao Minglang, explain it to me clearly. What exactly did I hurt her with? Zhao Minglang, who had been lost in the tenderness of Su Jinma, was suddenly interrupted by me and immediately flew into a rage. How dare you ask? Little Jasmine was living peacefully abroad, so why did you maliciously edit photos and spread rumors online? Don't you know what kind of devastating impact those photos and videos can have on a girl? As he shouted his accusations, Su Jinma's face turned red, and she lowered her head. I suddenly burst out laughing. Su Jinma, is this how you explained it to Zhao Minglang? Hearing the sarcasm in my voice, Su Jinma looked over with caution. What else could I do? And row? As the wife of a wealthy merchant, how could I possibly do something like that? It's because you're so malicious, all to destroy my happy life. Before she could finish her words, I cut her off with a cold expression. I sometimes admire your skill at lying, Su Jinma. Ever since you inserted yourself into my family, many of my friends have been voicing their support for me. Some of them even investigated you and, following the trail, found videos of you live streaming with black men on foreign websites. Even if photos can be photoshopped and videos can have their faces swapped, does that mean the woman in the live stream was also a stand-in I hired to disguise herself as you? If I had such immense power, I wouldn't have ended up like this because of you. My voice sharpened instantly. Su Jinma seemed startled by me, grabbing Zhao Minglang's sleeve and trying to hide behind him. Minglang, you're right. It was wrong of me to use the child to provoke Enro. She's completely gone mad, accusing others without any basis. However, this time, her Minglang brother did not shield her as he usually did. Instead, he frowned and looked at me. Enro, is what you said true? I slightly raised the corner of my mouth, my tone exceptionally firm. Zhao Minglang, you can recall our years together. Have I ever deceived you? The usually calm chief pilot's face twisted into a snarl in an instant. He glared at Su Jinma, his voice colder than ever before. Su Jinma, didn't you say those were all malicious rumors spread by Enro? You also said Enro sent you threatening messages. What exactly is going on here? I was utterly exhausted, leaning against the hospital bed, struggling to stay alert as I spoke. That meeting at the airport was the first time I ever saw Su Jinma. I didn't even know you two were once a couple. Why would I send her threatening messages? Su Jinma glared fiercely at me, then began violently shaking Zhao Minglang's arm. You've clearly seen it before. The number sending the text messages is Enro's phone number. This did surprise me a bit. Is that so? Then let's go to the police station and check it out. I'd also like to see how my phone number could send threatening messages without my control. Su Jinma glared at me with gritted teeth, then directly pulled out her phone and held it in front of Zhao Minglang. Look. It's all because Enro is jealous that I have a good relationship with Brother Minglang. It's all because of her jealousy. I watched the entangled scene between the two and extended my hand toward Zhao Minglang. Su Jinma immediately jumped up, trying to stop his action, but Zhao Minglang had already handed the phone to me. I clicked on the sender and laughed out loud. Su Jinma, is this what you call me threatening you? You randomly picked a number to send yourself a text message, then changed the contact name to my phone number. This kind of trick only works on fools. Zhao Minglang looked at the contact information I pointed out, his face full of disbelief. Su Jinma, why would you frame Enro like this? Do you know, she is my wife. Seeing Zhao Minglang on the verge of erupting in anger, Su Jinma closed her eyes, and tears began to fall. Minglang Gage, it was you who said you would wait for me forever, always guarding by my side. But now that I've returned as promised, you've already married her, Enro. I was forced to resort to a little trick. I only did it because I love you so much. Su Jinma was crying like a pear blossom bathed in rain, trying to lean into Zhao Minglang's embrace, but he pushed her away with a frown. Seeing Zhao Minglang's distant demeanor, Su Jinma cried even louder. Even if she didn't do anything to me before, this time, it was her, Enro, who personally ruined my chance to be reinstated. You said you would always protect me, so are you just going to stand there and watch her bully me? As soon as Sujinma finished speaking, the purser rushed into the ward and slapped her hard. That's enough, Sujinma. How long are you going to keep twisting the truth and slandering others? Your reinstatement failed because, when I submitted my resignation, I included all the details of what happened on the plane. You despicable wretch who got dumped for cheating during your marriage. Why are you still unrepentant after ruining someone else's life like this? Seeing the chief stewardess suddenly rush in, Zhao Mingling grabbed her and eagerly asked, Sister Zhang, tell me, who among them is telling the truth? Without hesitation, the chief stewardess also slapped Zhao Mingling across the face. You heartless beast, who sacrificed themselves when you were in trouble, who brought you food when you were working, who got pregnant for you only to be driven to miscarriage by you. Are you really blind, or did you simply refuse to see before? With the stewardess's slap, Zhao Mingling suddenly shuddered, as if he had been brought back to his senses. He threw himself at the foot of my bed, gripping my hand tightly, and wailed loudly, "Enro, I was wrong, I was just blinded by Sujinma before. We can have another child, please don't leave me." Okay, I shook my head and pulled my hand back from Zhao Mingling's grasp. I saw the sticker you put in the cockpit. You said you wanted to share the same quilt and the same grave with Sujinma, didn't you? Now the opportunity is yours, go ahead. After saying that, I turned over, ignoring the noisy group, and closed my eyes wearily. In the end, Zhao Mingling still agreed to the divorce. To express his guilt towards me, he chose to leave with nothing, not taking a single cent from the household, however, due to the false reporting of passenger numbers, resulting in delayed rescue efforts. Zhao Mingling was quickly investigated and dismissed. He had committed a serious mistake and could no longer be a pilot. Upon hearing this news, Sujinma, who had been waiting daily for Zhao Mingling, begging for forgiveness, immediately revealed her true intentions. I came back to you because you became a pilot, with money and free time. Why wouldn't I take advantage of that? Look at you now, all you do is drink every day. What else can you do? You're a useless waste. Who would still want to follow you? When Sujinma said these words, Zhao Mingling had just finished a heavy drinking session. In his drunken state, he brutally strangled the white moonlight he could never have. Before turning himself in, Zhao Mingling came to the downstairs of my house, standing there for a long time until dawn, before staggering to the police station. As for why I know this, it's entirely because of the message the property management posted in the group. Everyone, be careful. Last night, there was a lunatic standing downstairs the whole time, holding stones, and carving "I'm sorry" all over the walls. When I went downstairs, I indeed saw the walls covered in carvings. Each stroke seemed to carry deep regret. However, their regret is theirs alone. Mine is an infinite future filled with possibilities. After hearing the two stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.